Welcome to this presentation on our research from the International Water Management Institute. The title of our work is Business Models for Urban Food Waste Reduction. The FAO estimates that 1/3 of all food grown is wasted, with estimates of the global population reaching 9 billion by 2050. And over half of this growth occurring in cities, is necessary to reevaluate the linear food system into a more circular food system. Our work focuses on food waste, and we've identified over 400 businesses working in food waste reduction and created 18 business models from this analysis. We also looked at the enabling environment around these businesses, as well as their operations and in terms of financing, awareness, and policy and legislation. In the environment that we are currently in with COVID-19, it's estimated that there could be an increase in the amount of food loss due to disruptions in the supply chain and a decreased demand from restaurants, hotels, and schools. The effect on food waste is more unknown, while there has obviously been a decrease from restaurants closing. There's an increase in the number of meals being consumed domestically, and so the effects, therefore, are unknown. This map provides an overview of the businesses that we looked at. As you can see, the majority of businesses were found in the global north, with the most being found in the UK and the US. The models have been categorized following the food waste hierarchy, which ranks them from the most to least preferred methods of utilizing food waste for their benefits for the environment, society, and the economy. So the most preferred method is prevention. We have two models in this category which focus on tracking and measuring food as well as food waste. Following is prevention. Following prevention is the reuse, redistribution, and resale of food for human consumption. And this space has many platforms, box subscriptions, and avenues for the resale of different foods. Next is nutrient recovery, which has many innovative areas and covers using food waste as animal feed for swine as well as insects, mushrooms, and many non-food products. Finally is recycling, and this utilises food waste at the end of its life as energy and nutrients and compost to remove it from the waste cycle. So after initial assessment of the effect of COVID-19 on our business models, we can show the potential negative and positively affected models on the slide at the moment. The two models that I will talk in more detail are box subscriptions and logistic services. For some models working primarily with online services or services that can move online, they have seen positive impacts, whereas those such as community fridges have seen negative impacts as they rely on more human contact. The first model that I'd like to highlight is box subscriptions. And in order to do this, I'd like to share a business canvas flow that we created in order to show the relationships between the value propositions and key activities of the model. So the value proposition for this model is transporting fruits and vegetables that have been rejected for aesthetic reasons from farmers or large distributors to consumers. And during the pandemic, the innovation in the business-to-consumer pathway has meant that organizations using this model are able to reach their customers directly and have seen huge increases in demand for boxes of fruits and vegetables. The next model I'd like to talk about is logistic services. Again, we have a business canvas flow where the value proposition provided by this model is the same as the administration and transportation of food between the donor organizations and recipient food banks. And this is done by physically picking up the food and transporting it to where it needs to go. Redistribution in this area is often cited as difficult and expensive by donors. However, is an area that can address both food waste as well as hunger in populations, and therefore the social and environmental benefits of success in this are huge. During the pandemic, organisations working in this area have seen the need for their operations change significantly. Many have increased their operations with grants from governments and private donations, as well as support and guidance which has been provided by non-profits such as RAP in the UK and ReFed in the US in order for organisations to scale their solutions to meet the greater need. However, this hasn't been the same across the board. For example, in Sri Lanka, an organisation working with volunteers to collect and redistribute food has had to suspend their operations as they're unable to operate during the lockdown. This model is typically an area for non-profits to work in, but we thought it would be interesting to share a for-profit case study that's been really successful. So COPI is an organisation working in the United States, and they began in San Francisco but now operate across the entire country. What is interesting about their operations is where their revenue stream comes from, and that is through policy in the US called enhanced tax deductions, where donors are able to claim back a portion of the value of the food that's donated. COPIA then claims a portion of this as part of their revenue stream. And it's through this innovation that they've been able to operate as they do, as well as providing additional value in waste analysis for the donors in order for the donors to actually reduce the amount of waste they generate in the first place. So they have been able to achieve these things by awareness for producers as well as consumers in the area in San Francisco initially, but now a wider awareness within other places that they operate in, as well as access to finance, and in their case, venture capital. So we'd like to look at all of these operations and ask a few questions that COVID-19 has also brought up. As is evident in many areas of our lives, the pandemic raises questions surrounding the long-term effects on various areas of our lives, but in this case we'd like to look at the food system. So will it result in increased awareness and habitual changes, and can this situation create long-lasting solutions for the future in food waste reduction? So can there be and will there be a greater recognition of the value of these businesses in the crisis currently, but also a longer-term recognition of their values in the food system as a whole? So that's the end of the presentation. We'd like to thank the organisers at Dresden Nexus Conference for their hard work in creating this digital conference for us to still have the opportunity to share our work. We've been working with the FAO in Colombo and would like to thank them, as well as IMI and CGIAR. If you have any questions or comments, please direct them to the email address on the slide. Thank you very much.